Hello, everybody. My name is James, and I am the poor boy, and welcome to the first episode of my new series, NostalgiAttack, where I review old films from my and your childhoods. Why does it have to be SpongeBob? Because everyone recognizes it. You could be in the middle of a war zone, and as soon as you hear that titular, "Oh!" everyone is singing a stupid song for a good minute. What kind of name is NostalgiAttack, anyways? You're scrolling through YouTube looking for something to watch, then nostalgia. Out of nowhere. Why would I want to feel nostalgic? Shut up and watch the video. We'll get to it. So, SpongeBob SquarePants. Every kid's favorite show, every parent's worst annoyance. Despite being born when SpongeBob was already a few years deep, I never really grew up watching it. I was more of a Wiggles kid. I knew what it was, actually. I just didn't watch it until I was about 8. Back then, my parents got a couple used laptops from a friend that had 4 episodes from the first 3 seasons downloaded on it, and me and my sisters would watch them every day. Not because we didn't have anything else to do, we just enjoyed them that much. I was about 10 when I was properly introduced to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. As in, my parents rented it from a nearby dying Blockbuster video. Yes, I just generally dated myself. I thought this was about the SpongeBob movie. Why are you talking about the show? What did I just say? We'll get to it. Steven Hillenburg, may he rest in peace, had an inkling of an idea for the series back in the 80s while studying to teach marine science. But it wouldn't be until 1996 that Hillenburg would finally develop the series with several of his co-crew from Rocko's Modern Life, including Derek Dryman, Nick Jennings, Alan Smart, Tim Hill, and Doug Lawrence, who would go on to voice Plankton. After about a year of finalizing the look/tone of the series, Hillenburg would be the one to pitch the show, originally named SpongeBoy Ahoy, to the higher-ups at Nickelodeon, bringing an underwater terrarium with models of the characters while playing Hawaiian music. This won over the executives, and they gave Hillenburg some cash and 2 weeks to write the pilot, Help Wanted, which actually made 2 executives laugh so hard they had to leave the room. This was the moment Hillenburg and Nickelodeon knew they had a hit, and production began the following year, finally airing the pilot in May of 1999, and, well, you know the rest.
Things that bother you never bother me. I feel happy and fine, ha-ha! Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Having got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
Hillenburg originally wanted SpongeBob SquarePants to run for 3 seasons, with a theatrical film to end the series, developing the SpongeBob SquarePants movie alongside the 3rd season, and temporarily resigned as the series showrunner halfway through production to work on the film. But because of the success of both the 3rd season and the movie, Nickelodeon renewed SpongeBob for a 4th season. They still offered Hillenburg a chance to come back as showrunner, but he was adamant his time on SpongeBob was done, and went to work on other projects, leaving Paul Tibbitt to continue the series in his place. Yes, we're finally talking about the movie, okay? Keep acting up and I'll kick you out, got it? Yeah, I got it. Ladies and gentlemen, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. After the most annoying production studio logo introductions, the movie opens on the high seas at the top of a spotter's nest. Squinty the pirate, played by Christopher Logan, spots a dinghy being rowed up to the ship and calls out to the rest of the crew.
Dinghy off the port bow! Dinghy off the port bow!
Captain Bart, played by Bart McCarthy, walks up to the pirate accompanying treasure chest after it has been hoisted aboard and opens it to find a bunch of movie tickets to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Yes, it's that kind of movie. Believe it or not, every pirate in the crew is named, despite not being named in the film. There are 20 pirates in that crew, and Hillenburg named all of them. That's thorough writing. As the crew sets off in search of a theater, they perform a surprisingly good rendition of the SpongeBob theme. It got me bobbing along to it.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants.
Right as the song ends, the pirates dock outside of a seaside theater, which is a weird place to put a theater, charge inside, grab their refreshments, and sit in the front row in time to enjoy the movie. The narrator, voiced by Tom Kenny, opens the in-movie movie and is shocked to see the Krusty Krab surrounded by police and crowds. Mr. Krabs, voiced by Clancy Brown, is trying to calm down the reporters when a car pulls up. SpongeBob SquarePants, also voiced by Tom Kenny, steps out, cool as a cucumber, and Mr. Krabs explains the problem: a cheeseburger with no cheese.
Want a cheeseburger? No more cheeseburger. No more cheeseburger.
SpongeBob enters the restaurant to see a disturbed, terrified man in a scene reminiscent of old-school cop shows and movies. SpongeBob replaces the cheese in a very intense manner and comes out of the Krusty Krab in triumph, only to be interrupted by a foghorn. It's revealed to have been a dream as SpongeBob wakes up, excited to find out who's going to be the manager of the new Krusty Krab 2. Pretty creative name, but is absolutely sure it's going to be him. SpongeBob then gets ready for the day, stops by the house and bathroom of Squidward Tentacles, voiced by Roger Pumpus, to prematurely offer condolences before visiting his good friend Patrick Star, voiced by Bill Fagerbake? Give me a second. Okay, voiced by Bill Fagerbach, where the two make their plans to celebrate SpongeBob's promotion at Goofy Goober's ice cream party boat before SpongeBob finally leaves for work. At the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs is being interviewed about the Krusty Krab 2, comically located right next to the original Krusty Krab. Across the street, Plankton, voiced by the aforementioned Doug Mr. Lawrence, watches on in jealousy and monologues to his computer wife Karen, voiced by Jill Talley, about all his failures to procure the Krabby Patty secret formula, complaining that all his plans from A to Y have failed. Karen flatly points out Z comes after Y. Plankton realizes he does have a plan Z, and looks it over with sadistic joy, setting in motion his ultimate plan to steal the secret formula. I'll be honest, for genius, Plankton is a real idiot. I also want to point out this scene.
I'm ready. Promotion. I'm ready. Promotion. Ooh, I think I stepped in something.
I just really love that part. Soon, the grand opening has begun, and Mr. Krabs is about to announce the manager of the Krusty Krab 2, describing the individual very vaguely and getting SpongeBob's hopes up, before announcing Squidward as the manager. SpongeBob doesn't catch on and jumps on the stage ready to celebrate, embarrassing himself. Mr. Krabs explains that SpongeBob didn't get the job because he's just a kid and too immature, so SpongeBob sulks away. I have to admit, knowing SpongeBob's work ethic, joyfully making every order with love, mopping the floors, cleaning the bathroom, heck, even inadvertently providing the customers with some entertainment when he's in a good mood. The guy deserves to be manager, even if he is immature on his downtime. Heck, I'm a pretty immature person on my own, but if you put me in a job I love doing, the difference in personality would be like the difference between the Three Stooges on camera and the Three Stooges behind the scenes. This was a big L for Mr. Krabs in my opinion. Just after SpongeBob leaves, Patrick appears, naked, gliding in on a parachute while cheering for SpongeBob. Patrick ends up flying into the stage, destroying it. Way to go, Pat. That night, Plankton makes his way into the castle of King Neptune, voiced by Jeffrey Tambor, who is currently ruling on whether or not he should execute the royal crown polisher for touching the royal crown. Okay, this guy is probably a bigger idiot than Plankton. So instead of throwing him in prison for 20 years, Neptune's daughter Mindy, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, I'll be honest, I actually did not know that, overrules Neptune's ruling and sets the man free, angering Neptune. Neptune talks to Mindy about what it means to wear the crown. Mindy thinks this means she's going to go bald, but Neptune corrects her, saying a king must make tough decisions. But Mindy thinks compassion is just as important. During all of this, Plankton secretly steals the crown, sending King Neptune into a rage, and Plankton makes his escape, laughing in triumph. Meanwhile, SpongeBob is at Goofy Goober's, crying at the empty ice cream bar. He tries to make himself feel better by forgetting what he was upset about, which actually works, until Patrick comes back and reminds him by congratulating SpongeBob for the promotion. SpongeBob tearfully explains what happened and sets off to go home, but stops when he hears that Patrick has ordered a triple gooberberry sunrise. SpongeBob stays for a quick treat and devours a sunrise with Patrick in seconds. Feeling better, SpongeBob and Patrick order more, leading to probably the most kid-friendly way to depict a drunken binge I've ever seen.
Oh, Mr. Waiter! 2 more, please!
Woo!
Waiter! Oh, waiter!
The next morning, SpongeBob is woken up by the ice cream slinger seen the night before and is very much still ice cream drunk / hungover. Wow, what a look. SpongeBob realizes he's going to be late for work, but quickly changes his attitude as he remembers Mr. Krabs didn't make him manager. At the Krusty Krab 2, Mr. Krabs is showing Squidward the ropes, including scoping out the area with a periscope built into the manager's office when he sees King Neptune riding his chariot towards the Krusty Krab 2. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. This is where the film starts to pick up its pace and get good. King Neptune enters the Krusty Krab 2 and does not order, as Mr. Krabs thinks he will, but accuses Mr. Krabs of stealing his crown. Mr. Krabs vehemently denies this, only for a conveniently placed phone to play a live message from Clay, who Mr. Krabs supposedly sold the crown to. Further incriminating Mr. Krabs as the buyer goes on to explain that he sold the crown to someone in Shell City, a place even Neptune would not dare go, as no one has ever returned. As it turns out, Clay is just Plankton disguising his voice, which is kind of funny because the Clay voice is done by Tom Kenny, and not Mr. Lawrence using his regular voice, which I think would have made the bit even better. With King Neptune dead set on executing him, Mr. Krabs begs for his life and promises he's no thief, and anyone will confirm. Neptune decides to give Mr. Krabs a chance and looks to the customers for testimony. At that moment, SpongeBob comes in, still hungover, and Mr. Krabs breathes a sigh of relief as he knows SpongeBob will defend him. SpongeBob instead claims Mr. Krabs is a big jerk before blowing a raspberry at him. King Neptune takes this as enough reason to kill Mr. Krabs and shoots a fireball at him, sending Mr. Krabs bouncing all around the Krusty Krab 2. This forces SpongeBob out of his hangover, which apparently also gives him a shave and another left shoe, and he tries to defend Mr. Krabs, claiming being a jerk isn't a reason to kill someone, only for Neptune to reiterate that Mr. Krabs stole the royal crown and sold it. SpongeBob offers to go to Shell City to retrieve the crown, but Neptune just laughs and continues trying to kill Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob dives in front of his boss to save him, but Neptune would rather kill SpongeBob to get to Mr. Krabs. Jeez, this movie is a lot darker than I remember. I think they've said execute or kill like a dozen times since the movie began. I mean, this was supposed to be the end of SpongeBob, and Hillenburg probably wanted to remove all the stops to produce a truly memorable finale, but outright making the stakes of failure death is kind of intense for a kid's movie. But then again, this was the era of the DCAU and the Iron Giant, so I guess kids could just handle heavier subjects better than they do now. Just before Neptune fires on the two, Mindy stops him and is able to convince her father to let SpongeBob try to get the crown. Neptune gives SpongeBob 10 days to get the crown, but in typical Patrick fashion, he believes in his friend so much he accidentally lowers SpongeBob's window to 6 days. But Neptune freezes Mr. Krabs in place, so SpongeBob has the incentive to actually retrieve the crown. Just before she leaves with King Neptune, Mindy warns SpongeBob of the dangers that he will face on his journey, including the fearsome Cyclops, who seems to guard the outskirts of Shell City. She gives SpongeBob a bag of wins to make it home once he gets the crown and wishes him luck. Also, Patrick has a crush that goes nowhere.
She's pretty, SpongeBob.
So Mindy leaves. SpongeBob reassures Mr. Krabs that they'll do their best. Mr. Krabs believes he's doomed, and SpongeBob and Patrick Adam West their way down to an underground garage to find the Patty Wagon, a promotional Krabby Patty car. And after this joke,
you don't need a license to drive a sandwich.
SpongeBob and Patrick set out to find Shell City. Meanwhile, Plankton has entered the empty Krusty Krab 2 and taunts Mr. Krabs before stealing the secret formula. After a while, SpongeBob and Patrick stop at a gas station near the county line to fill up the tank, get laughed at, and have their car stolen before continuing the journey on foot. This was a satisfying scene as a child, mainly because the two hicks said that SpongeBob and Patrick wouldn't make it 10 seconds over the country line, only for them to go 12 before getting their car stolen. Small victory, but Tiny Me enjoyed the small victories as well as the big ones. Back in Bikini Bottom, the Chum Bucket is selling Krabby Patties like crazy, giving away Chum Bucket bucket helmets with every purchase. Plankton brags to Karen about his success, only for Karen to remind him of SpongeBob and Patrick. Plankton doesn't believe they'll succeed, but nonetheless has hired someone to take care of them. Cut to Dennis, played by Alec Baldwin? Really? Well, he's a hitman, and he's currently tracking SpongeBob and Patrick. He comes across the gas station by the county line, finding traces from the Patty Wagon before continuing on his way. After several hours, SpongeBob and Patrick come across their stolen car outside of the Thug Tug. Excited to finally stop walking, the two try and start the car only to find the key missing. Realizing it must be inside the Thug Tug. Peering into a broken window, SpongeBob and Patrick see a bar filled with, as the sign says, thugs, but spot the paddy wagon key. The two make a plan, and Patrick enters the bar to cause a distraction, only to ask where the bathroom is. SpongeBob is nearly caught trying to grab the key, but plays it off and follows Patrick to the bathroom, where they then find a broken soap dispenser and play with the bubbles produced. A bubble escapes the bathroom, garnering the attention of the lead thug in the bar, cleverly named Thug Number 1, played by Tom Wilson. Wow, there are a lot of big names in this film. So Thug Number 1 has everyone line up and plays the Goofy Goober theme song to smoke out the bubble-blowing baby.
No baby can resist singing along to this. SpongeBob, it's the Goofy Goober theme song.
I know.
SpongeBob and Patrick are almost caught when two other patrons sing the final line in the Goofy Goober theme, earning them a beatdown from everyone else in the bar. SpongeBob and Patrick escape the bar. Patrick reveals he grabbed the key, and the two head out once more in search of Shell City. Back in Bikini Bottom, Squidward notices everyone wearing bucket helmets. Finding this odd, he asks a random driver about it and learns that Plankton has been giving them away with every Krabby Patty purchase. Despite his usual attitude about the Krusty Krab, Squidward confronts Plankton about stealing the formula and even puts together how Plankton did it. But Plankton doesn't care. It just activates its bucket helmet mind control devices and turns his new slaves on Squidward, nearly completing Plan Z. Back on the road, SpongeBob and Patrick come across a little old lady giving away free ice cream, only for a beastly monster to reveal itself and try and eat them. SpongeBob and Patrick drive as fast as they can away from the beast, trying to escape its clutches. Back with Dennis, he has found a puddle of soapy water outside the Thug Tug and blows a bubble, knowing SpongeBob and Patrick have been there. He is confronted by the patrons of the Thug Tug, but easily deters them from beating him to a pulp before continuing his search. Coming across a trench in the middle of the road, SpongeBob and Patrick leap from the paddy wagon just before it flies over the cliff. The monster follows it down, only to be eaten by an even bigger monster from deep within the trench, leaving SpongeBob and Patrick gobsmacked and speechless. This scene actually really scared me as a kid. Like, not just the sticky goo-tongue old lady, but also knowing that with how vast the ocean is and how little we know about it, this thing could have existed. This was one heck of a final for the original fans. Patrick, being overly eager, finds a staircase down and is ready to continue the journey, only for SpongeBob to give up and start heading home. Patrick doesn't understand why, and SpongeBob tells him outright.
We'll never survive in that trench. You said it yourself. This is man's country. And let's face it, Pat, we're just kids.
Patrick denies that the two of them are as childish or immature as others say, and SpongeBob reveals Patrick has been wearing Goofy Goober underwear for 3 years at that point, forcing Patrick to come to terms with reality. As the two start to head home, Mindy appears, surprising SpongeBob and Patrick.
How much did you hear?
I heard enough.
Did you see my underwear?
No, Patrick.
Did you want to?
Calm down, Pat. Mindy fills them in on what's happening in Bikini Bottom. Plankton has forced the citizens into servitude and worship with his bucket helmets, using them to build monuments in his honor. SpongeBob and Patrick still don't think they can do anything, so Mindy resorts to tricking them. Pretending to have magic, Mindy makes SpongeBob and Patrick close their eyes and gives them some small commands to make her magic work, and quickly fashions 2 mustaches out of seaweed, placing them on SpongeBob and Patrick before allowing them to open their eyes. Believing themselves to have grown up through Mindy's magic, and blinded by excitement, SpongeBob and Patrick leap into the trench, quickly realizing this was a stupid idea and panic. The two are saved, though, by a well-placed coral branch without their knowledge, and the two convince themselves they are invincible. They then sing a song about what they can do now that they're men, and then ham-bone their way out of being eaten by a monster. For those who don't know, ham-boning is basically patting, tapping, or slapping different parts of your torso and legs to create varying sounds in a rhythmic manner, and is apparently classified as a genre of dance. Yes, it is as strange as it sounds.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go SpongeBob.
So after they make it out of the trench, SpongeBob and Patrick are confronted by Dennis. He threatens them, but they laugh it off and threaten him with the power of their mustaches. Dennis reveals that their mustaches are fake before showing off his ability to instantly grow a mustache. He explains Plankton hired him to step on the two of them, calling back to earlier in the film.
I'm ready. Slow motion.
Just as he is about to step on SpongeBob and Patrick, Dennis himself is stepped on by a giant live-action boot. SpongeBob and Patrick look up and realize their savior is the Cyclops, who is really a human in an old-timey diving suit. The two make a break for it, only for the Cyclops to grab them easily and take them to his lair. Waking up in a glass fishbowl, SpongeBob and Patrick take a look at their surroundings, spotting what they believe to be other fish, and call out to them. They are correct, but soon realize these fish are dead and decorated, as the two are in a seaside souvenir shop. The Cyclops appears out of nowhere, scaring SpongeBob and Patrick, and goes over to a table across the room. The two watch in horror as the Cyclops glues googly eyes and a hat on a clam in an attempt at bad humor.
Alexander Clam Bell!
Afterwards, the Cyclops set SpongeBob and Patrick on a dehydrating table before going to the bathroom, leaving the pair to their fate. SpongeBob and Patrick reflect on their adventure, coming to believe everyone was correct, and they really are just a couple of kids, never even finding Shell City. But Patrick points out a sign across the shop, revealing the shop is Shell City, and the two spot the crown for sale for a measly $7 across the room. They come to terms with their immortality and their achievements, happy with all they've done, and
Goofy! 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 Goofy!
the camera pulls back, revealing the movie theater audience crying. But the captain's parrot points out something is happening on screen. SpongeBob and Patrick's final tears almost magically fall onto the lamp plug, shorting the outlet, causing the sprinkler system to go off and rehydrate SpongeBob and Patrick. This was one of maybe 3 movies that have actually made me cry. I was tearing up just writing the script for this video, even though I knew SpongeBob and Patrick survived. Just the fact that there was a chance 2 of our favorite childhood characters were going to die with no way of finishing their story is just, it really gets to you. So SpongeBob and Patrick quickly go to grab the crown, only for the Cyclops to intercept them. But before he can do anything, the rest of the fish are rehydrated and attack the Cyclops, allowing SpongeBob and Patrick to make their escape. With the crown in hand, SpongeBob and Patrick try to use the bag of winds to get home, but Patrick accidentally loses it. The two are saved, though, when David Hasselhoff, played by David Hasselhoff, offers his assistance. This is the last big name in the movie, I promise. Probably because he was the most expensive. Hasselhoff swims out to sea with SpongeBob and Patrick on his back. Back in Bikini Bottom, Plankton taunts Mr. Krabs, but is interrupted by the arrival of King Neptune and Mindy, ready to either receive the crown or execute Mr. Krabs. On the surface, Hasselhoff has become a motor man thing and is swimming smoothly when Patrick spots the Cyclops' boot gaining on them. The boot docks on Hasselhoff's foot and Dennis scrapes himself off the bottom, anchored and ready to kill. In the Krusty Krab 2, King Neptune is about to execute Mr. Krabs as Plankton watches on in glee, but Mindy is able to stall to give SpongeBob and Patrick some more time. On Hasselhoff, Dennis is about to attack SpongeBob and Patrick, but Patrick boldens up and is ready to fight back, only to nearly be thrown completely off Hasselhoff. SpongeBob runs as Dennis tries to stab him, and eventually corners SpongeBob on Hasselhoff's leg. SpongeBob tries to pay Dennis in goober dollars, angering Dennis even further, and resorts to offering bubbles, which are sprayed into Dennis's eyes, distracting him long enough to be knocked into the water by a pontoon as Hasselhoff swims under it, saving SpongeBob and Patrick. In the Krusty Krab 2, Neptune is fed up with Mindy stalling and locks her out of the restaurant as he gets ready to kill Mr. Krabs. On the surface, Hasselhoff makes it to the iconic island. Not knowing how they'll make it in time, Hasselhoff initiates the launch.
Initiating launch sequence.
Did you see that?
The control.
Placing SpongeBob and Patrick between his pecs, Hasselhoff flexes as hard as he can and sends them hurtling down to the ocean floor, crashing through the roof of the Krusty Krab 2 in time to deflect the beam of fire upwards and into Hasselhoff.
Oh.
Neptune is happy his crown is back, and Mindy is happy that SpongeBob and Patrick are safe. Plankton, still planning ahead, drops a bucket helmet on Neptune's head and turns it on, enslaving him as well. As the citizens of Bikini Bottom march onto them, Patrick wonders where they went wrong, and SpongeBob accuses Plankton of cheating. But Plankton claims it was his evil genius that won, calling SpongeBob a stupid kid. SpongeBob makes a short speech about how he accepts that he is truly a kid inside, but is proud that he did what everyone said he couldn't do, and breaks out into the greatest parody children's media has ever seen.
I'm a goofy goober!
Plankton tries to send his minions after SpongeBob, only for SpongeBob to break into a righteous guitar solo and free the citizens of Bikini Bottom with the power of rock and roll. Plankton tries to escape, but... Plankton is arrested, and Neptune praises Mindy for her compassion, for without it, he never would have gotten his crown back. Neptune unfreezes Mr. Krabs and commends SpongeBob for his bravery before Mr. Krabs names SpongeBob manager of the Krusty Krab 2, since he has proven his responsibility. The credits roll with a small montage of SpongeBob performing his managerial duties as Ocean Man by Ween plays over top. There is an end credit scene, but it's just the pirate crew getting kicked out of the theater. And that is the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. My thoughts? I believe it holds up very well in modern day. The animation is beautiful, the music is fantastically done, and the whole story is taken seriously, yet is inherently silly. Tom Kenny and Bill Fagerback who play SpongeBob and Patrick with everything they have, and you can feel the emotion in all the scenes. You feel SpongeBob's excitement for the announcement. You understand Patrick's confusion. Their fear and sadness permeates you. These two have perfected the roles of lovable goofy idiot and lovable goofier idiot. Clancy Brown is at his usual level of playing Mr. Krabs, an old sailor turned businessman who cares for his employees despite his money-grubbing habits. Roger Bumpus is always fantastic, and Mr. Lawrence just is Plankton. The songs are really well done, the pirate theme is fun, the Goofy Goober theme is catchy despite being written as a parody of annoying children's-themed restaurants. Now That We're Men is a fun anthem for SpongeBob and Patrick's understanding of manhood, and Goofy Goober Rock is as legendary as it can get. The number of celebrities in this movie is surprising, but understandable since so many of them have wanted to be in the show over the years, even going so far as to call into Nickelodeon and ask. Hillenburg got so many requests he had to implement a rule. The character must be designed first before any celebrities are considered to voice them. Jeffrey Tambor plays King Neptune well, both being imposing and kinda stupid. Scarlett Johansson, despite this being her first voice role, nails the kind teenage Mindy. Alec Baldwin is great as Dennis, being a very threatening mercenary when he is and isn't angry. Tom Wilson is hilarious, playing an overly tough bouncer. And David Hasselhoff is unexpected, but he's proven to be a fun guy and down with some weird but cool stuff. The live-action portions were shot well, even getting creative with the shots despite the main subjects being cartoons and not actually there. And I think they pulled a few tricks from Who Framed Roger Rabbit for some of the scenes where animated characters interact with the real world. The effects are cool and expected for the SpongeBob production crew, especially the use of stop motion when Hasselhoff prepares for the launch. That's the last time I'm doing that, I promise. One thing I really love is that the crew built a 12-foot-tall photorealistic model of David Hasselhoff for the shots where SpongeBob and Patrick were running around his body. And Hasselhoff thought it was so cool he asked if he could have it. Last I heard, he had it facing out of one of his front windows in his house. The film has good messaging, like you don't have to be the pinnacle of manhood to do great things, and how Patrick stayed by his friend's side when things got tough despite what could have happened to him. You don't see much of that nowadays. This was the last great bastion of old SpongeBob. The animation is beautifully hand-drawn, something Nickelodeon did away with for Season 4 and beyond. It's detailed, bouncy, and when the expressions are exaggerated, it's funny.
Come on, pal.
Oh, my head.
Feast your eyes, Patrick.
What is it?
March 14th. Wait, that's not right. It should say the day that crabs fries.
The humor is gold.
Whatever it is, can't it wait until we get to work?
There's no shower at work.
It's diabolical. It's lemon-scented. One day, you will wear this crown.
I'm gonna be bald?
Hey, look, it's making noise.
What the scallop?
And you can really tell it was made with love of the franchise. So if you want to watch a goofy action movie with good music, good story, and good message, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie might be right up your alley. This is a horrible segue, but it's my belief that a lot of people in this world need Jesus, or at least need to read the Bible. So let me help you get started with a verse I think goes well with this film. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12 says, "Don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, in your faith, and your purity." This means that so long as you do the right thing, either in the eyes of the law or the eyes of God, you are never too young to make a difference in this world for the better. Thank you, everybody, for tolerating me and my whims. I decided out of the blue my love of writing film and VO could be combined into a review series, and it's taken in all about a month to get it written, recorded, and edited. But now that all the major sprites are drawn, I'm going to try to get a video out every couple weeks with some smaller ones in between if I can, but I can't really promise anything. So thanks again. Like the video if you enjoyed it, comment if you want to add something, or have any movies you want reviewed. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.